Right now we are studying and we are just getting started. Ramachandra laid out step by step, and understanding certain concepts are very, very, very important. I just want to emphasize, because especially in a community like Dakini Whisper, we have a tendency to ignore concept because ultimate truth is beyond the concept. Therefore, we don't want to conceptualize, we don't want to think, we don't want to pay attention to the precise understanding of a concept or something like that. So I just de-emphasize that, or the importance of understanding a certain concept, not all the concepts, but Ramachandra really emphasizes certain concepts, differentiate things. You know, when I was in India, I didn't have many things, but I have an index card. I created the index card. Whenever that sort of technical term, very subtle point, Ramachandra point out, I write down, then Tibetan, and backside the comparison to the first phrase or terminology or something like that. That's how I studied in India. One of those is the ignorance. Ramachandra really makes distinction. There are two kinds of ignorance. Acquired ignorance, kuntu gyurcheki maripa. Maripa is ignorance. We know ignorance is the root of the samsara, cause of the suffering, basic root of the suffering, samsara. There are two levels. One is the acquired ignorance, other one is innate or simultaneous, inherent ignorance, hengeki maripa. So those two need to be differentiated. So today's chapter 7, maybe this differentiation may facilitate to understand certain points Ramachandra makes. Anyway, and then a few other concept comparisons. For example, last time I touched a little bit, mega and minga, affirming negation and non-affirming negation. Those things that need to be really clear about in our understanding, so that when we read something, Ramachandra's writing or this guy's summary, or the point of this is this, or makes sense, easier to make sense. All these so-called preliminary practices, refuge bodhicitta, mandala offering up everything, releasing the attachment, grasping, and Guru Yoga of reciting Ramachandra's mantra to unify our mind with awakened mind. All these are the preparation for our understanding to dawn. So I just started talking about a little bit of concept. So just bear with me. A few concepts we really need to clarify, because you will know why we need to differentiate certain concept in terms of discussion and so forth. So first one is, as I said, acquired ignorance and innate ignorance. This is based on the Ramachandra's distinction. The acquired ignorance, of course, Tibetan word here, kuntu gyurcheki maripa. Ripa, ripa is knowingness or the awareness. Ma is a negation, so maripa. So translated usually as ignorance, bewilderment, more than bewilderment. This is a complete misunderstanding. But anyway, so this is acquired ignorance, then versus innate ignorance, henge ki maripa. Henge is a very important word, innate or the inherent or simultaneous sometimes, natural, beginningless, that's kind of things. Then we will talk more about why this distinction matters and so forth. Acquired ignorance is like, misconceptions that arise from philosophical ideas, wrong teachings, conceptual study, or learned views. For example, believing in a permanent self because a doctrine taught it, or this developed conceptually later in this life. For example, Atman, lots of Hindus believe in Atman, right? Or the permanent self. Self is permanently existing and conceptually constructed, then can be removed relatively easily through correct reasoning and reflection. That's what we have been doing to understand, for example, impermanence, realizing impermanence, and moment by moment changing. That sort of understanding, analyzing, that's correct this false perception, false understanding of permanent self, or the existence of God, or something like that. In other tradition, they believe in the existence of the God, omnipresent and definitely, permanently existing God. That sort of concept were acquired later on, perhaps belong to certain traditions and heard about the philosophical stand or the belief system from the certain people or something like them believe in that. Those kind of called acquired ignorance. That's the first level of ignorance. For example, in our tradition, Buddha taught early on impermanence, right? And the selflessness and the impermanence and so forth. That sort of understanding of impermanence cuts through this kind of misconception, acquired ignorance. But that doesn't lead to the understanding of emptiness, doesn't lead to the realization of emptiness. So that's kind of today's point. One of the point, first one is what is it? That things changes implies they are empty of intrinsic nature. Empty of intrinsic nature, which is permanent. Therefore, the fact that, or the understanding the fact that things changes moment by moment implies they are empty of intrinsic nature, which is permanently existing. But impermanence itself alone is not emptiness. Refuting permanence is not enough. Anyway, so this is the first level, the acquired ignorance. Then the second is the innate ignorance. So this is the one we are talking about. Hengeki maripa. Definition is the spontaneous or natural or beginningless tendency. I was talking about as soon as we wake up. Even I understand things are impermanent. Things are changing moment by moment, but doesn't affect on my emotional level, appearance, coming or simply there. This is the kind of tendency to grasp oneself and the phenomena as existing inherently from the moment we arise in samsara. So these are beginningless, you can say, beginningless innate or inherent ignorance we carry. So that's our causing. This is the root of the samsara. This is the one. Acquired one, of course, we slowly removing. But this innate ignorance is the root. So these are not learned, like instinctive, you can say, present in all beings with samsaric consciousnesses. Even baby, as if like a baby that are so innocent, doesn't have those kind of weird ignorance or something like that. But in baby's appearance, they appear, they exist inherently, objective. Exist inherently. This is not learned, so everybody has it, as long as they are in samsara. And dogs and cats, bird also. Then much harder to remove because it feels natural, not conceptual. Underlies all afflictions. In general, just general object doesn't feel like doing much to me, but the causes of samsara, causes of suffering, what are the, karma and afflictions, right? And all the mental conflict, delusions, and all these things, strong desire, strong anger, those things are source of suffering, right? So underlies all afflictions, this level of ignorance. Then why bother? Tsongkhapa is really emphasizing this point. Why this distinction matters for cutting the root of samsara. The first point is acquired ignorance is not a root. Some people settled in this acquired ignorance to cut through the acquired ignorance through the understanding of the certain things, concept. So Tsongkhapa emphasized not the philosophical mistakes, acquired ignorance. That you can say that philosophical or conceptual mistakes, acquired ignorance, can be corrected by study and reasoning. But even when those are gone, we continue to grasp as a real I and a real phenomena. We do some exercise after this. But you know what I'm talking about here? This deeper instinctual grasping is the true root of samsara. Therefore, we need to differentiate. We need to go further. We should not settle in this level of ignorance. Those people are there around Lama Tsongkhapa's time too, even in the modern contemporary world, practitioners, they are happy with this, just realizing impermanence. Buddha taught, so impermanence means no inherent existence. So what a big deal, why we go further there, or something like that. Of course, understanding impermanence is that one thing, but then we need to go further than that. Still have this stubborn, innate ignorance there. Continue to grasp at the real I and the real phenomena. Then, of course, number 2 is realizing emptiness must directly counter innate ignorance. That I was talking about. Because the innate grasping is non-conceptual, revelation required non-conceptual wisdom realizing emptiness. We enter with the conceptual, but merely correcting conceptual mistake is insufficient. Just as we said in number 1, the path must proceed from conceptual understanding to deep familiarization to non-conceptual yogic direct perception. We are on the process, maybe first one, but we need to know there are more to go, and also we need to check in. Even I said still appearance discrepancy between the how things exist and how things appear is big, but still after we do all this analysis, but some situations, extreme situation or something like that, started to have an impact on our study. Then that's the kind of process of this journey. So that number 2, realizing emptiness must directly counteract innate ignorance. And without targeting innate ignorance, the affliction arises. Regardless of how much we are analyzing and we are studying emptiness, if it's not really affecting the arousal of the afflictions, then that tells something. It's not targeting the precise ignorance. Very important object, for example, object of negation. Targeting is very important. Innate ignorance is our target. Even if acquired views are dismantled, the subtle sense of realness remains untouched. This subtle grasping continually gives rise to attachment, anger, pride, fear, and confusion. Only when innate ignorance is uprooted that the cycle of rebirth ceases. It's a big task to uproot the innate ignorance, right? But there are so many things can help to even start it to have this kind of process, or even doubt about the phenomena and how things exist. First, to have a little bit of glimpse into doubt, or started to dismantle a little bit of our innate misconceptions. For example, this Gondo we will do, this preliminary practice. All these practices are meant for this purification, dismantling these obscurations layer by layer. All these 9 Gondo, one by one, attack the different layers of the obscurations. For example, prostration, first one is a more coarse level of physical, you can say, obscurations, and so forth. Those kind of things also helps to dismantle, and also accumulating merit, purification and accumulating merit. All those are causes for the process to unfold, progress, and also compassion and love. That the method side are so important. Recently, I kind of talked about that too. Method is a wisdom in it. Method gives a condition, wisdom to unfold. So we should not really ignore it. Okay, we are just studying the emptiness, so just focusing on emptiness. But then, no, we need to integrate everything. Therefore, Buddha taught all different kinds of practices, right? Anyways, here, importance to target the innate ignorance, but also need to bring all these other practice to support this. Then the distinction protect against nihilism and reification. Okay, refine, yeah. Why is that? That this distinction protects against. Therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa is very emphasizes this distinction. We need to differentiate these two. Acquires the wrong views may swing toward one, as you know, eternalism, a solid, inherently existing self, and nihilism, nothing exists at all. Tsongkhapa's analysis shows that both extremes arise from ignorance. Both are based on the same, the premise. Things exist inherently, either way. Eternalism or nihilism. Inherently existing self exists or not exist at all. But that the inherent clinging to intrinsic nature is the most tenacious, most crucial, stubborn. Understanding the difference helps practitioners aim the realization of emptiness precisely without falling into extreme. So this precision seems like a tedious distinction. Understanding precisely is a part of this journey, very important. I just wanted you to get it, at least in your part of your information. I want you to keep it, this distinction. So these two, you got that? Then we will go into the today's part as well. And just I wanted, since we are talking about these two pairs, which I still remember I put on the card because it's important. Back those days, if you write down, we can remember. Nowadays, I don't know if people write down because all information is always available, right? If you have a question, then ask Google or something, give you the information. Back those days, there's no such a thing. Text and the teachers teaching are the only information. So I needed to write down.